Welcome, new listeners and returning listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am your host, Doug Blacksher, and I have my co-host helping me out today, Mr. Barack Obama Shaw, running for governor. We are broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California. Every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast Time. Short and sweet. I am limited per my doctor's orders to maintain 15-minute intervals, but let's be clear. I am back, black, and ready to act. And that's act up on all these politicians and businesses that are causing chaos out here. Happy Black History Month 2024. Tune in today as I will be touching on the following. Oakland is getting help from the governor, who is sending CHP to look at the crime and burglaries that are causing its residents and businesses to be harmed. And we have a special guest, so you better get ready for her. Chef Michauxnee cooks up something for Valentines from her new restaurant, Willows and Pine, 3525 Fruitvale Avenue, Oakland, California. Hashtag Willows and Pine Restaurant, hashtag The Busy Wife 2017. And let me tell you something. I just ate there Sunday night. I had the pork chops, potatoes, and Brussels sprouts. My friend who came with me, he had the bath. And let me tell you something. It was the best. California, we want to look at this man on the screen. Mr. Barack Obama Shaw. Hashtag Barack Obama Shaw. Hashtag Barack Obama for GOVCA. Hashtag Barack 4, and that's the numeral 4, California. All right, now we're getting to what we call our dun 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 thumbs up. Thumbs up goes to Governor Gavin Newsom for sending the troops in Oakland, California, consisting of 120 CHP officers helping try to claw Oakland back from out of the clutches of the criminals stalking citizens, businesses, like we are prey out here. Shameful. Shame. And thumbs down, dun, 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 dun. Thumbs down goes to House Speaker and Trump flunky for trying to impeach and failing to, by the way, Homeland Secretary. Even the Republicans were not having. So let's get started here today, folks. And I want to just say I am so proud to have my brother, Mr. Barack Obama Shaw, right next to me, riding shotgun. And I want you to light it up, brother. I want you to light it up.
All right.
Our deepest thank you to Mr. Doni Glover of BlackUSA.News for the honor, Mr. Glover, of the Black Business Roundtable. We're going into our third year in May. So the honor of being a part of your successful network, Emmy nominated, being a part of the growing network dedicated to bringing the real, unfiltered news before the news. Hashtag BlackUSA.News, hashtag Doni Glover. Dr. Ashley, we miss you. And I know you're watching if you don't have a client. Dr. Ashley would want you to remember to look out for your mental health. If you're depressed, suicidal, anxiety, call 988 is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can text or you can chat with them. Women in our audience looking for therapy, www.therapyforblackgirls.com. And men in our audience looking for a therapist. And let's be clear, many black men go, I don't need to talk to some quack doctor. Yes, you do. 400 years of slavery plus, I think we all need to be talking to a doctor. Their website is www.therapyforblackmen.org. Continue sharing hashtag Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022, where the brother was defending his patrons and himself when another man went to the car and was going to come back with a rifle and start shooting the place up. And they gave the brother too many years. They should have gave him a honor and a reward. If he was a white man, he would have not been facing the same action. So remember that. And also in Lodi, California, keep following hashtag Justice for Enzo the Husky. If you want to be in the know and reach our audience, then join our BBRT advertising family, or to be a possible guest on the show, reach us via our email, bbrt2021@hotmail.com. Include your company name, address, website, company phone number, and social media page info to our email. And that's bbrt2021@hotmail.com for vetting consideration. Thank you to my guest who's coming on. But Brock, before she comes on, let's chop it up a little bit.
Okay.
When you are governor for the state of California, what plans would you have, or do you have, looking at the state of Oakland? And, we have LA, we have Sacramento, but I think Oakland right now far exceeds excess crime. Residents are afraid to come out of their homes. Businesses are leaving by the drove. You got Denny's getting ready to leave. Been here 54 years, crime, running them out. You got In-N-Out Burger leaving in March. You got Black Bear Diner left. You got Subway Salmon. And this is all on the Hagenberger corridor where people come on and off the plane. So can you share with our audience what you would do as governor with the resources that this great state has? What would be your plan to address that? Thank you.
Oh, great. I'm glad to be here and glad to answer that question. Well, first of all, you have to look at where you are, where we are right now. It's similar to the Great Depression, right? But I think it's not really a, authentic depression. It is, depressive, being seeing all these things happen, but it's really not authentic because it's due to the leadership, so it's you have all the other cities that are doing well, that are around, that are not going through the same thing. So it has to be something going on with the leadership. And you want to think about, I would look at it as we're at war, right? If a person was getting ready to go to war, sign up for war, you're going to give them some kind of incentives. You're going to put your life on the line. You stand up for your country. You're going to offer them some education, free housing. You can go to school. You can there's a pathway towards citizenship, something. But to just say, well, just hang out here and hope for the best. No, you got to check in with the renters there and these different companies and see what is it going to take for you to stay here, number one, because all these businesses are leaving. Then the value of the real estate goes down. Then you got a ghost town happening over there. So you're going to have to build up just like they did Delano Roosevelt did during the depression. He had a situation where he was building, building monuments and building. You got to get that. Well, he was building up monuments and things that would build up the morale of the people. So to bring a whole bunch of 120 CHP officers who already had a life going on before this, who knows what other the excessive stress they're going to be going through to try to come in here, because now you're also looking at force. So you didn't solve it through intellect. You didn't solve it from promotions. You didn't solve it from communication with the people. You had to bypass your own authority to ask the governor to step in, because you're not, doing your job. You're not getting the job done. And so then he's just going to push all of this money and resources that you're giving to the CHP. You could have been offering the In-N-Out Burger some of that money, and the employees some of that money, and the renters some of that money. And then people, it's like, there's got to be some kind of incentive to be into this. And then you have to have also Roosevelt was in office for so many years during the Depression. So you got to have a consistent, if you're not going to have consistent leadership, then you need to have at least a 12-year plan to get people used to this is becoming the new norm, to where it's not just, okay, somebody's in here for a couple of seasons and then you go back to the way it is. You know how it is around here. No, it's got to be an upward. You got to be moving step by step, upward, and have big projects that is giving people a future to live into, instead of continuing to look at all of the current things that are happening and the nightmare. So there's no silver lining being created with the people. And there's, we have internet, we have radio, we have newspaper. You're not talking to the people consistently about what it is that you're doing. So it's got to be constant, consistent communication and results, because as the word says, the Bible says, that good book says, the tree by the fruit it bears. You can tell people everything, but if the tree, the fruit keeps falling off the tree, people are not going for it. It's like, no, I don't. You can give me some word salad and some terms that you're speaking over my head about what's going on, and there's no fruit on the tree. So therefore, we know that you're not doing your job. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're getting paid. You're like above the system. You're not getting paid according to your results. Your results suck, and we're still paying you. If you can't do the job, then you need to resign. Period. Get out of the way. You're doing the best you can do, but then get out of the way and let somebody else come in there and they can do it. Get out of the way. And that's going to be my attitude about it. I want some results here. Enough of the nonsense. California, my stand is California is the future of America. We're the example. That's what I have to say.
Those are some powerful words, some powerful statement. I think we have a couple minutes before Chef Michauxnee come on. I'd like to let my audience know once again, we have a city councilwoman, Carol Fife, who represents district, I believe it's 3 or 2, but councilperson, Black woman. I used to work with her with the NAACP a while back. Then we have first time in the history of Alameda County, a Black woman district attorney, Pamela Price. And it seems like in this city, in this county, in the state, and in the country, we continuously go after the Black women who are doing, I think, a good job. And Black men out here, we have to start stepping up and speaking out. You don't hear him talk. You don't hear him beating up on Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she says some outrageous thing. Outrageous thing. So the point I'm making here, if you are governor, how would you distribute security if you found out that a Black elected official or any elected official, but since Black women continuously are bombarded by good old boys, what would be your plan for security?
Plan for security, you're saying?
Yes. How would you address that? How would you use the resources of this great state to make sure that all elected officials are safe and secure while executing their tasks or jobs? Thank you.
Well, that's a great question. And I mean, number one, I think that I think we have to look at the climate and do what we can in terms of putting out correct information. That's number one. And why are they being targeted in the first place? And more and more year after year. So to kind of get to the source, they shouldn't have to live like that, number one. But we need to make sure they have some kind of have security. We have also make sure that they have a contact person that where they can check in with their whereabouts. And what, they used to have like the medical alert. Sometimes they have those, right? But you need to have that for these officials. Unfortunately, it's kind of that way where they can quickly say something to someone about what's going on, and also have the cameras, making sure there's cameras and in the parking lots, and just maintain that communication, a chain of command communication in terms of making sure that if they sense that they're in trouble, right, that they can reach out to someone immediately to stop the situation.
Okay, that was a curveball question. So I wanted to let the audience know that was an excellent answer. So thank you.
Thank you.
The border from Florida to California, it's been pointed out that we almost have 5,000 people a day crossing. What would be your plan to address that?
The plan to address okay, why are they coming here in the first place, right? Why is it where they're coming from is so bad, right? And understand that we're dealing with the ambassadors, right? What is the plan for the ambassador that's in communication with the other countries and officials that are in charge? Wherever country a person is coming from, they're saying it's so terrible over there, and yet we've taken the role of being the policeman for the entire world, across the seas. But what about across the border? What's the plan of action to deal with that? We can see the struggling for everyone else, but anyone across the border, we're not sticking our nose in their business over there, but we're sticking our nose in everybody else's business across the world. Why is that? What's the difference? We're spending billions of dollars.
You're coming a little choppy.
We're spending
breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, we're spending billions of dollars to send it overseas when somebody's suffering, but the people that's crossing the border, we're not addressing. Okay, they're coming from an oppressive situation. What are we doing? Why are we not spending any money over there? Why? You know, so that's something we need to negotiate, and on that level, that the ambassadors, why the ambassadors are not doing their job in terms of why are people running to America? All like that's the answer, because they're gonna have to start from the bottom like everybody else. Why not do what we can do to in terms of nation building, which we stand for? We'll get on in our pulpit and say we're for nation building for all the nations, but except across the border. Why? So it's something needs to be done about that. Because if someone's suffering, the answer is not just come to America. Get to the source. Why are they coming here in the first place? If you deal with the source, they can have a happy life where they are. And then some people are coming over, and it's at a certain level. We can't just have everybody coming here. It doesn't make sense, especially when we're saying that we're policing the whole entire world. And we stepped on the world stage, and that's what we're claiming. So let's handle that as well. So, and instead of making it so complicated, because it's really not.
Let me ask you something. Because our guest, Chef Michauxnee, she must be in the kitchen putting her foot in it. But let me ask you something. And I'm going to turn it over to you, because I want you to be very clear with our audience. You started a Ring of Truth organization.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to step off this camera, and I want you to give, since we have some time, let our audience know what the Ring of Truth is. Because let me tell you, audience, let me tell you, America, and specifically Black America, we have these elected officials who come and beg to get our vote. And then once they get in office, you can't find them, or they act like they don't know you. And let me be clear here. Election time is coming up again. So go ahead. Tell them what Ring of Truth is.
I'm going to tell you what Ring of Truth is, and right in what you're saying about the truth, right? And Ring of Truth is a new political party. We're standing to be a qualified party in 2026. And we're standing to have 77,000 people register so we can be on the ballot. And it's a party that is for the Bill of Rights and for the people, for the Constitution, and a party that's standing for a ring of truth. So when you're voting for someone, you're looking to hear a ring of truth, you know, to where if it makes sense to you. And I want to say something too about the. I stepped in. I saw what was happening with Oakland, right? And I reached out to Oakland's police department, and I requested to talk to the chief of police, right? And they told me that he's busy in his schedule, and he's busy meeting some other people in his schedule. And I thought, like, well, okay, well, you can schedule 20 minutes for me sometime, you know, if not this week or next month and this and that. And so they tried to reroute me, you know, talk to one of their lieutenants. And then I talked to the lieutenant, and I didn't qualify to talk to him, right? But what he did say was, and I said, does that make sense that I'm a politician and he don't want to meet me? Does that even make sense? And I'm trying to help him. I said, well, I'm going to let people know that the man refused to talk to me. Oh, and then he stopped. The lieutenant stopped for a second and say, oh, if you're at one of our outings, I'll introduce you to him. What am I, a groupie? What is this? I'm trying to meet Jay-Z or somebody? What is this? You know, so you're up on your high horse, you're failing, and I'm trying to help you, and you want to snub me. You know, and then you want to say you're doing everything that you can do, and I'm going to say you're not, because you didn't get me involved. And so I don't feel sorry for the man. snubbing folks, how many other hundreds and thousands of people who are coming with great ideas and ambition, wanting to make a difference, and you're snubbing the folks and you're ignoring the people? How many?
Well, obviously he's not busy enough based on the crime that's going on here in Oakland, and he is the acting chief
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the situation in Oakland? And this is, because we got a few extra minutes. It seems like our guest is running really late. We haven't had a police chief in over a year as of this month.
Mm-hmm.
We have a federal monitor who has been making $1 million plus a year, overseeing the OPD based on 20 plus years ago. We had a group of cops running around here, planning evidence, etc. But if you were the governor, and this is, once again, I'm just throwing this at you because something has to happen here. Oakland is, I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible, but Oakland is the wild, wild west now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been down on Hagenberger and seen people get their car broken into, and have followed the people who were doing it, call 911, and no response. So it looks like our chef is here. So briefly, what would you do about that?
Well, you have to have if that's a hot spot, right? Then you got to have some officers there for sure. That's the beat that you need to. What happened to the money you're spending for these cameras? The cameras are not working. The drones are not working. I mean, it's not that complicated. You got drones that can hover up there and taking pictures of folks, seeing license plates, everything. The people need to be held to account and do their job, or fired, period. That's it.
That's a great answer. On that note, I hope you stick around, help me close out. But if Chef Mimi is backstage, you and I gonna just turn. Well, I got to stand up and get my stretch, but we would like our audience to get their pen and paper out, because Chef Michauxnee is going to tell us today what would be a great Valentine's meal. Can we bring Chef Mimi on, or Chef Michauxnee on? I apologize. Chef Michauxnee. Oh, hey, where was I at last Sunday?
Right here at Willows and Pine.
Chef Michauxnee at Willows and Pine. Please take it away.
Thank you guys for having me on the show again. It's good to be a part of this production. Right now I'm getting ready for dinner service, so you see me moving around or you hear some noise in the back. That's what it is. You guys wanted to know what would be a good date night meal for Valentine's Day. And a lot of our customers that I do private chefing for always request a seafood dish. Usually lobster, sometimes surf and turf. It's a traditional go-to for the holiday to celebrate love and indulgence. So I think the best meal that I would love to have would be a seafood pasta dish. Something where you can highlight the colors of love. You get your pink from the shrimp, adding a touch of paprika to an Alfredo sauce will change the color slightly and give you a different flavor profile. And it's always good to have something ready to dip your sauce in and maybe feed your lover or your partner. Usually that's our go-to, a pasta dish, maybe a surf and turf pasta and some steak. or lobster and some steak. I'm really partial to lobster, and I like it prepared very simply, pulled up off the shell, sitting up high, drenched in a nice buttery garlic mixture, and roasted simply. Nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated, nothing to steal away from the shine of the actual meat of the lobster itself. A medium well steak is how I like my steak prepared. A lot of folks like their meat to still moo a little bit. That's just not my preference. But yeah, that's usually the go-to for the holidays. For not the holidays, I'm sorry, for the love holiday, for Valentine's Day. We do plan to do something special here. I haven't quite figured out the entire menu, but I'm going to do a short little prefix lovers deal. Once I work that out of my head and into a menu, I'll let you guys know what it'll be.
Well, Chef Michauxnee, you have made my day, because lobster is one of my best seafood. I've enjoyed your bass. I've enjoyed your gumbo. Can you tell our audience what would be a good wine to serve with that, and what kind of dessert would you have with that meal you just suggested? I know they say red wine for red meat and white wine for seafood. So I'm going to get off of this screen, and I would like for you to help educate our audience who may not know what would be an appropriate wine or even a cognac with the dishes that you just gave us, and follow up with the dessert. Thank you.
So I'm not a wine connoisseur, but I do enjoy a good red blend or a good Pinot Noir. And I feel like people should drink what they like. There's a lot of ideology about what goes best with what, but really whatever you like is what goes best with what you're eating. Sometimes if you're going to mix a plate and you have red meat and a pasta dish with a white sauce, you might want to go with a rosé, something that's a little bit in the middle. It's going to give you a little bit of sweetness. It's going to heighten that juiciness of the steak, but also complement the seafood and the cream in certain sauces. But if you don't, drink what you like. A nice wine complements anything you want it to. And it's really based on what you like. Some folks do not care for red wine. It's heavy, it's rich, and you're already eating rich food. You might not want to do that. You might want to lighten it up a little bit with a nice dry white wine. A nice Chardonnay will help bring in some of those flavors together the same way as a red would if you were eating a steak. Most times folks are eating multi-functional meals. So I say go with what you like. It's not going to change something so much to where you can't enjoy the meal and the wine. But I say it's time for us to start choosing to drink and eat how we like. A good cognac goes with everything. I am partial to a nice scotch or a scotch blend. Macallan 12 is one of my favorites for an easy sip. And it goes nicely with both pasta dishes or white wine dishes, or you can even cook with the whiskey or the scotch or the cognac to your liking. It just depends on what you like. As for dessert, I'm partial to rich and creamy things, so the creme brulee is always a go-to for dessert for me. But I think in this season, a good, hearty, rich chocolate cake with a nice dark chocolate ganache or a nice dark chocolate frosting is always a winner too, if that is what suits your palate. One of the popular desserts that we have here it's kind of been taken off more than I thought it would, is our peaches and cream bread pudding. Take a traditional spin on the flavor profile of peach cobbler, but we make it into a bread pudding. It's baked. The peaches are still firm, so you don't have that mush like you might get in a cobbler. And you have the richness, it's decadent, and we top it off with a little bit of our honey butter sauce and whipped cream just to make it all come together. It's not too sweet, so you don't have to feel guilty about enjoying this meal or this dessert. but it's one of the house specials and one of the favorites that the community is starting to really pick up on.
Now, audience, two things here. When Chef Michauxnee was down at the Jack London Square, I believe we were one of the first people who were doing our best to promote you.
Yes.
On the podcast. I was reading an article today, and can you tell our audience about that article and you and your magnificent, and let me back up a little bit, audience. When you go into Chef Michauxnee's restaurant, it is clean, it is sparkling, the kitchen is, you can almost eat off the kitchen floor. Because I've gone in some restaurants, and when I looked at the kitchen, I left. When I go into your restaurant and I look at the kitchen, I sit down because the kitchen says a lot about the food. So on that note, Chef Michauxnee, please tell our audience about the article that was written up about you and your restaurant, because I was thoroughly, and I said, hey, I'm a part of that. I helped that out.
You did. And so we'll have to back up a little bit before we get to the article. This first article, the first article that came out in November was written by the Oakland side. And it's a beautiful, well-written article showing the world who Willows and Pine is and introducing us to our community here. So Oakland is taking care of Oakland, and it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. The article that Doug is referring to was actually picked up by the Wall Street Journal because of the article that was written by the Oakland side. They sorry, get myself together. They brought us in as part of a series that they were doing on neighborhood restaurants, and they included Willows and Pine. They featured one of the newest dishes that we have on the menu, which is the shrimp and crawfish chowder. It highlights my California Creoleness, and we are a chowder state. We got chowder, clam chowder at just about every restaurant you go to, and so I put my spin on it. It was actually a surprise. It was a surprise. I didn't know that we had made that kind of impact, where a journalist from the Wall Street Journal would actually have taken notice and wanted to include us in this series that they were writing about local diners and why it's important for folks to patronize neighborhood diners, neighborhood restaurants, and what that means not only to the community but to the people all around, like how we're building up everything, right? We're becoming an anchor in the community. We're a safe place for kids when they're leaving school if they don't feel safe. We're a safe place for our unsheltered family and friends to come and grab something to eat. We hire people who live locally, and so it's just a nice way to recycle love back into our community. And I'm really grateful that the media has shown a light on that. My son walking in the background.
Okay, what are you back there cooking now, so that when I get off this phone or off this podcast, if I need to run, I can't run. I'll have to Uber my wheelchair. What are you cooking? What are you back there cooking now?
Right now, we got everything going. We're just about pretty much set up for dinner. We got 20 minutes to dinner, but the thing that I just shoved in the oven is some bread pudding, and I got another little batch that I'm putting to the side to save for a rainy day. Tonight, we are running our regular menu. Our popular dish are the boneless short ribs. For some reason, people can't get enough of the short ribs. The chowder is picking up steam. Friday nights is our gumbo night, so gumbo is always a hit on Friday night. And the jambalaya seems to be pretty popular too. Some days we can't make enough of it fast enough for the number of orders we're getting for it. So we got everything ready. Whatever's on the menu, we got it for you. I even made beignet dough today.
Oh, I remember that. You got the you got it powdered down too?
I do. And sometimes we toss a little honey crack on it just for good measure.
Well, with the 5 minutes we have left remaining, can you share with our audience your background with, I think it's the barn?
Yep.
And once again, audience, if you want a great meal, you have got to get to this woman's restaurant. I was smitten back in Jack London Square, but now your food is like crack to me. I got to get some as often as I can. So in the last 4 minutes we have remaining, can you talk a bit about the barn and how you have learned to season the food? It's not too salty. It's when you go to her, Chef Michauxnee restaurant, you get healthy portions. I mean, you have to bag it up and take it with you. Tell us.
Well, we're definitely not stingy.
Excuse me?
I said we're definitely not stingy. I'm trying to get where the light's not going to be a glare. There we go. So the barn is my family's legacy. My great grandparents opened that restaurant when they came here from Shreveport, Louisiana, and almost everyone in the family worked there my entire life. My grandmother worked there my entire life. She worked there most of her entire life. My mother worked there at some point in time, and the food was good. It was simple. It was simply prepared, and it wasn't over the top. It wasn't the culinary experience that you might receive at a Michelin star restaurant. We're not that. We are homegrown, love in a bowl, love on a plate. And we take care to make sure that things taste good without being oversalted. Salt is not the only seasoning that folks need to use when they're preparing food, but a lot of things have salt in it already. So you have to be mindful of what you're using and how much salt we're consuming and we're sharing with our customers. So, but the barn was everything to me as a child. That's where I learned to love to eat. Because my grandmother was the primary cook there, that's how I learned to cook, because I would ask her how to make the things that she made for us, you know, at the restaurant or she made at home. And we're just growing the legacy, just returning to the root and loving on the community, preparing good food, making sure people are full. That's how I fight food insecurity in this space. Our portions are bigger than most people expect or most restaurants would serve. I just have the idea that if you want people to feel satisfied and full and like they spent their money in a good way, then you need to feed them. And it's not overly expensive to give folks a little more than what you think or what society may say or the industry standard may say is the norm. Folks are hungry. One of the reasons we're seeing so much of the dysfunction in Oakland right now is because it's hard to live here. And the harder it gets, the hungrier people are, the more we're going to see challenges that seem to have no end or no resolve. One way to resolve some of this is to make sure people are fed.
On that note, audience, I want to thank you for showing up today and showing out. Next time,
You're welcome.
Next time you come on the show, walk us through the kitchen, or I might have to come down there and walk with my camera. The way your dishes are always consistently great.
Thank you.
And most restaurants, you get up and down, down and up. And I want to tell the audience when, as you know, and this is something that Black people have. Well, can you hook me up? Let me tell you something. Would you go down to Scott's and tell them to hook you up? Would you go down to Denny's and tell them to hook you up? When you get there, that is the hookup.
The hookup is included. It definitely is included already.
All right. Well, I will see you soon. As you already know, I have been having some health issues, but if you saw me last week, I hobbled in there to get my food and brought a friend. We love you here on the show. We want to continue to wish and pray for your success, which I don't think that's going to be no problem for you. Keep up the great work.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Okay.
and thanks for telling us about the wine and the liquor, because you are right.
Drink what you
People,
like.
yeah. You know, I went to one place and they said, oh, you can't have the red wine with the, and I don't even drink red wine, with the white wine with the red meat. I said, man, if you don't bring me what I asked for.
Yeah.
All
Drink what you
right.
like.
Hey, go burn it up. And I don't literally mean burn it up, but handle your business. Thank you,
I will.
Chef
Thank
Michauxnee
you.
of Willows and Pine, located at 30. Now make sure I get this address right. Located at 34.
Nope.
There it is right there.
3525.
3525 Fruitvale Avenue in Oakland, California.
Correct.
Do you incur reservations or?
We are taking reservations. They're not necessary. Maybe on a Friday night, you might want to make a reservation. But we're trying to operate as a first come, first serve basis, just to kind of keep the admin level down right now. Until we grow and put some more systems in place, we'd like folks to just come on down.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Take it easy, Doug.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Folks, you heard it here on the Black Business Roundtable. When she first got her, had her open up a restaurant in Jack London Square. We promoted her then, and we're going to continue to promote her now. If you want the best meal in town, you better go down to Willows and Pine on 35, on 3500 block of Fruitvale, and you can't miss it. It's you. All you got to do is roll your window down, and you can smell the good food. Do we have Mr. Barack Obama Shaw back there? There he is.
Still here. Still here.
You know, I want to say thank you for sharing the stage with me today. As you see, I go on and off. But before Chef Michauxnee came on, you were talking about the Ring of Truth. Can you tell our audience in depth, and you got a whole 10 minutes, can you tell them what made you, and I'll be on and off because I got to stretch my legs every once, but what made you come up with the Ring of Truth? And I think we were discussing it before Chef Michauxnee came on. Can you tell our audience what made you come up with the Ring of Truth? Because as before Chef Michauxnee came on, we were talking about the politicians who tell you one thing. Mm-hmm. Once they get in office, they do something else. We have a lot of that going on here in Oakland, California. We're going to soon be highlighting those truth or lies, thumbs up and thumbs down, because as you said, somebody ain't doing their job.
Absolutely.
You don't have you can't get off a plane in Oakland and stop at a restaurant on Hagenberger without getting robbed. And it's shameful. Shame, shame, shame. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to get up and do my stretches. But tell our audience how you came up with it, how they can get involved, how they can sign up for it, so we can start getting a Ring of Truth instead of a bunch of BS lies. Thank you.
All right. Well, to register for Ring of Truth, you just go to registertovote.ca.gov and select Ring of Truth as your political party preference. And the reason why Ring of Truth showed up for me as a need was talking to people. They were just, they're saying we're tired of this one party system. Well, these only two parties we get to choose from. We don't like this one. So it was just unrest. So I said, well, let's create another party in which people can, like a little baby, like you can raise it up yourself. And the thing that I've learned years ago to respect your industry. And I think that when we can think about the industry of politics, instead of thinking about politicians thinking about their own pocket, to think in terms of a fiduciary, like this, a fiduciary agreement there that the people are benefiting more than you are, that it's not for you to benefit. You get some benefits, but your decisions should be that the people are winning, not that you're winning, that you're making money, that you're advancing in life, and the people have to deal with that. That's not right. That's actually messing. And I say the industry. You want to. I'm standing for the political industry to be something that people can respect, because they did once upon a time, or what have you, and still in certain areas. But to have it to where the next politician can come along, and it's a they can be launched into the a leadership, and people can say, you know, they can rest at night and know that they have a reliable person that's at the helm, instead of that same old conversation. They're not going to do what they're going to say. They're talking out of the side of their neck. They're lying. They're lying. They're never going to tell the truth. Like, no, that's because the political realm is actually a clearing, an environment of privilege. It's a privilege to be able to serve people, just like it was a privilege for me to put on my military uniform. When you're talking about being of service for the people and making sure people's needs are met, the focus should be on the people and the people only, not on you. Because if we're doing we're supposed to be doing, then it's going to come back. It's going to come back full circle. So it can't be about the politician first. It's the people first. And that's my thing about it is honor. We stand with honor. Let's bring honor back to politics, back to the policing, and because their position is a position of honor, and we need to bring that back and stop looking at the money and how you're benefiting from it. It's about the people and the people only. If it's not about them, then you need to step aside, period.
You know what? That was well stated. That was a note that many politicians in the city, in this county, in this state, and all across this country have forgotten. Oakland is inundated with trash. Oakland is overwhelmed with burglaries. Oakland, you can't even go to ATMs now. I was just looking at something on the news today that somebody snatched their ATM out of the wall, just destroyed it, took the money out.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, I don't know if you saw it, or a couple of weeks ago, somebody went down on Hagenberger, hooked up the ATM, and was dragging it down Hagenberger behind the van, and there wasn't a cop in sight.
Nope.
Last night, I attended the CBAD, Community Policing Advisory Board. Hadn't been there in almost 8 or 9 months, but I took 2 gabapentin and a 1-800 ibuprofen, and I went down there and I lit it up. I made it clear that it's shameful that when my friends, family get off the plane, they can't rent a car because they're afraid it's going to get broken into. They can't patronize the restaurants down on Hagenberger because they're either going to get strong arm robbery, the vehicle's going to get broken into, and many, many more. Now we have Clorox, a multi-billion-dollar company. We have Kaiser, the biggest employer in the city of Oakland, telling their people Do not go out, bring your lunch, because you will get robbed. And if you don't have people spending money in this great city, you're going to have a city like Detroit was when GM left. And I think last week I said closed down. I meant it closed down out in Detroit. So we're working with 5 minutes left. What great note would you like to give our audience as we're going to be coming on every week, every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. East Coast time. Let them have it before we close it down before 5.
All right. Well, I say that every problem has a solution. It just does, right? And it's not impossible what's happening right now. If there's a problem, then there's a solution, period. And it's where there's a will, there's a way, right? And there's more people that want to do good than the people are committing the crimes and things. So what the citizens can do is band together. Instead of looking up, look out and put your arm out. You lock arms together, create a wall, and look out for one another, because you're going to have to look out for one another these days. And when you start looking out for one another and being a stand for what's right and speaking up in that way and sticking together, things will start to get managed. The message will start to get out there. And that's where it is. The power is with the people. And I just want you to know to not forget that. And things are going to get better. Absolutely. But it's the willingness to say, no, enough is enough. We're going to band together. We're not going to wait for somebody to come do it for us. We got to do this because this is our Oakland. This is my city. This is my Hegenberger. This belongs to me. And when we start taking ownership of it, really, really standing together and stop waiting for, looking up, looking out for the people, things will change.
On that note, audience, let me be clear here. I don't care if you're the biggest corporation in America or the slickest politician in office. When you start affecting the citizens and the businesses, not doing your job, hurting hardworking people, because some companies are out there running their businesses like plantation, you will be on the Black Business Roundtable. On that note, thank you to my guests, Chef Michauxnee of Willows and Pine Restaurant here in Oakland, and our next governor, Army veteran, Barack Obama Shaw, running for governor of California in 2026. We look forward to seeing you Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. on the East Coast on Black USA Network on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And remember, together, we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. Donnie Glover, we love you. We love you. We're back, black, and ready to act. This is Doug Blacksher, and Dr. Ashley will be returning soon of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless, and good night.
Good night.